Meghan Markle's 4th of July stuff, which we will get into because, oh my gosh, she is the laziest social media influencer I think I've ever seen. She is so exceedingly lazy. It's actually quite insane. I looked at it, and number one, I feel like she's like the hostess from hell. She is like overly does everything. And while the platter is beautiful and everything like that, again, I feel like she takes it a step too far always. And she's like, easy. And I'm like, how is that easy? That would take so much time. And where are your children? Where are your children? And what's really funny as well is if you haven't watched my previous video that I posted where it says, don't believe the hype when it comes to Meghan and, all her meandering businesses. I mean, a whole video can be made about how bad a year this has gone really, or how many missed opportunities or failures Meghan has had. But one of the things I pointed out is that there's no difference between As Ever, the brand, and Meghan Markle, the brand. They are synonymous. And you can actually see this reflected. And I told people, like said in the video, you can actually see this reflected in the fact that she posts the same thing basically on both profiles multiple times, to the point where you can get 4 different postings of the same thing. And it's like between stories and posts. And she did exactly that this week, guys. She did exactly that yesterday. And so I'm like, yeah. So just as real quick of reference, because I didn't have a reference at the time that was strong. So here she is, an overhead shot making this whole platter thing. And then so she has a different video of herself making the same thing. And this one has the overview, which a camera was somewhere over here, and then front view of her. And then she does the cocktail thing. And trust me, we will get back to that. But if you go to As Ever, she posts the same video. So we saw this in stories for her post, and then in her personal post, and then we get to this one. This posted again. So this is like 3 times, and then this is time number 4. She posts the same thing, ladies and gentlemen, endlessly. And it's one of those things where I find it so incredibly grating because she has all the resources in the world to make a lot of content all the time. And it's so easy anymore. You just really need your phone. There's so much. And I watch other people and people who have grown their following from nothing, who had nothing and grew into this amazing position within social media. And they're constantly moving with new ideas and new various things. And I just watch her and I go, you're posting the same thing, like of the same video thing that you did. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how can you be this lazy? Because it's not impressive, it's lazy. Meghan Markle is the laziest content producer. She does 2 things for the 4th of July. I mean, technically one is the same thing filmed different ways, which I'm sure she gave to somebody to edit. Who knows even when that was done? And when it would make more sense to have more of a spontaneous post. Like that was a post you put on. Let's see when she actually posted this. It was 20 hours ago. So by this point, it's 10 a.m. here Eastern time. And so if you are an East Coast person, you might be halfway through your day by the time she posts this, and you don't have time to do this. This is something you post the day before the 4th of July. Like I always think, guys, and I mess up quite a bit, where I should post things like the day before and I only get to it the day up or the day after. And so it's just one of those things where I know I'm behind, but again, it's just me. Is if you look at true, really good content creators, is that they have everything designed and ready to post weeks, if not months in advance. So yeah, it's not, let's say the 4th of July when you film it, but it goes out the day before. Well, actually, it doesn't have to be the 4th of July when you film it. You can actually film it the day before or 3 days before or a week before, and nobody will really know. And it's a way for you to say, hey, do this. Because by the time Meghan Markle posted that, it was like 2:00 in the afternoon Eastern time. You might not have the chance if you see that charcuterie board gone crazy and you think to yourself, hey, I'd love to do that for your family. You have to go to the grocery store. You have to find those items. You have to find something that cuts in a star. I mean, where is she sharing, let's say, this little star punch that she has for the cheese? Why not share that? You could share it on her Shop My. She could, except for she's abandoned it. So none of this is really making a lot of sense, and it's just so incredibly lazy. It lacks an absolute level of creativity. And she says on there, "This is easy. Easy 4th of July thing." And I'm like, "For who?" I mean, because if we watch this, and I saw a couple super chats and we'll get back there real quick. So if we watch it here, so she says, "Easy entertaining is this piece." And I'm sorry, but I don't feel like that's easy entertaining. That's not easy entertaining. And carefully placing the flowers. And they're not even her flower sprinkles, and that's a whole different kit and caboodle we'll get to. You're putting these flowers on there, and it's like, so who's gonna touch these? Because none of this looks like something children would enjoy. No, it's actually kind of funny. In one video, it almost seems like she totally forgot to actually put her own product in this board thing. She has one of her honeys there on the platform or on the counter that you can see, but nothing else. So, yeah, so easy entertaining. I don't know about you. Tell me if you think that's easy. Now, she has her honey carefully placed there, which she doesn't use, but let me know. Do you guys think that that's easy entertaining? I honestly don't. I don't mind, like, creating something beautiful, but I think it's just ridiculous. And Anne says here, "What's with the claps over the fruit tray?" Don't know. Ritz says, "She does not entertain anyone but herself. Who is she kidding?" Yeah, it's very strange, and there doesn't look like there's any children here, so, like, where are the kids running around? Because I was at the 4th of July thing yesterday, and I don't have kids, but our hosts did, and there was another family there with their 5 children, and so there were actually 9 to 10 children there, and the kids would play around the whole time. And so there are no kids anywhere in this video or in the next one, and where she's showing off the mojitos, and I'm like, well, where are the children? Where are the children here?" And it's just lacks any sense of, let's say, because she put such an emphasis on children, and it then looks like she's just hosting an adult party. And so I was like, "Oh, I guess the nannies, the moms get to have fun and the nannies get to watch the kids." That's the impression I got. But let's get to these 2 super chats here real quick. Cheryl T in Oklahoma said, "Isn't that the same shirt she wore to Wimbledon?" Yes. And as somebody pointed out as well, Catherine wore a similar Ralph Lauren shirt earlier this week. And that shirt, when Meghan wore it at the time, was terrible. It still looks terrible. And it's not particularly flattering. So I would not suggest wearing that. But that is it. But yeah, Meghan referencing Wimbledon, where Catherine is at, and or Catherine will be this week. And Diaz says, "I have a feeling she's the type of person to spend hours putting together a food platter, and the minute her kids reach for the fruit piece, she gets mad because the platter is out of place." Yes. Okay. I had Diaz. This is great because I had this notion too when I was looking at Megan's stuff. Is that it reminds me of when we went into like an antique store or something as kids, and my mom would tell us, "Okay, put your hands behind your back and hold them," because she didn't want us to like be touching things because obviously in antique stores, if you've ever been, sometimes there's a lot of breakable stuff. And so, we would walk around with them holding our hands behind our back, trying to be courteous and make sure we didn't damage anything. And that's what I feel like Megan with the platter. It's so perfect. Like, would she want anybody to touch it? Because she seems to be so obsessed with the perfection, but part of life is not that level of perfection. Because to me, this fruit platter, and we'll start the video again, sorry, is it strikes me as something you would get at a fancy schmancy hotel. And if you want to create that like every day for, your family, I mean, I guess you could, but does it matter to like perfectly place the flowers, or is it more important to actually be with your family? Like, how long did that really take her? And so it seems like to me, at least, somewhat a waste of time because you're spending so much time on this, and it's all about the perfection of the image and not really about people actually consuming stuff or really wanting the platter. Again, you can create something that beautiful if you want to, but it strikes me as something that's designed for adults and not children. And there's nothing wrong with that, but 4th of July is honestly very much usually a time for, like, families and children, and it's rare to see somebody who's obviously that, like, that's not her thing. Like, that would be what I would anticipate to have is a house bustling with children and families, and looks like that's not what she's doing at all. And when you look at obvious let's go back to Meghan, because Meghan can only reference Meghan. And so if you actually watch here, and I'll put this up, sorry. And this is the fast track version of her actually creating this whole thing. And there's something actually really interesting here I want you to keep track of is that she's creating this, placing everything so perfectly. I mean, you got to wonder how long this took her. And she's getting all the reds, and now we have to have the whites with the cheese, and the cheese is not even cut correctly to like make it work. And she puts the little things there, and she has blue with blueberries. Okay, that was actually I think this was actually what was supposed to be the thing. And then all of a sudden, she's placing everything so it's done, right? This is done. And then she realizes she forgot something. Her own product. Her own product she forgot. And what's also really interesting about this from a business perspective, and we'll get into it with the whole mojito thing as well, which is that her business is to sell her products. She's showing you a product you could not even buy the last round. Her raspberry spread hasn't been available since April. She didn't sell any of it in the last round. Where's your apricot spread, Meghan? You just sold apricot spread. Why not show people your apricot spread? Why are we showing people a raspberry spread they cannot buy? That you didn't put up again. There is so like you do. Let's say Goop and Gwyneth Paltrow. You do cross reference. Gwyneth posts quite a bit of content about Goop, but it is sort of her content, and it's sort of unique, and sometimes it's a double with Goop, sometimes it's not. But with Meghan, there is literally no difference between what she posts between the two platforms, and she hasn't created enough of an independent identity for As Ever. Like, I don't even know why the As Ever account exists. She should just have it be Meghan and sell it that way. And for you to have a product that you aren't ever seen using, like, why would you buy anything from her? She doesn't use any of her own products. Where's the apricots? You just sold apricot spread. You should be selling apricots. Like, this is business 101. The cutting board isn't hers or whatever. Like, none of this is hers except for the raspberry spread. And you can do that, I guess, if you want to, but to run a truly successful business, she needs to actually be doing, you could say, sort of all things at once. You need to be able to post yourself, but also post for the company. So, like, again, a good example would be, let's say, Goop. So here's Goop. I mean, the vacation shop, that is Gwyneth, but it's a lot of different things here, a very clear aesthetic, I would say. I mean, Gwyneth features quite a bit, but this strikes me as clean. This strikes me as, like they're promoting the products. And so they have different pictures of people on there. And so you might not like everything Goop does, but you can see where the Goop thing kind of sort of works. And then we have, let's say, Gwyneth Paltrow, which is here. So there's some commonalities. I'm sure this is from Goop or Goop podcast, but it's a very different aesthetic. So yes, this was on both, but she has a different aesthetic overall. Some crossover, of course, but you get the sense of somebody who has a different identity to a certain extent than her company. And she does different things per week, like the boyfriend breakfast that she does. And then she makes, personal posts about her family and those sorts of things. So she cross-references quite a bit, but I feel like Meghan's constant problem right now is that she really, really does need to do that. Like, she really does need to set up As Ever as a separate identity, because at this point, it's just always referencing Meghan and it's never actually promoting the products. That's what's startling, really, is that she never promotes her own products. So on the As Ever Instagram, we do have the wine here, but she is grabbing apricots, but that's it. I mean, how are we supposed to get her brand from that? She didn't even sell Those are pancakes, not crepes. So she didn't even sell pancakes. And is that supposed to be syrup or honey? Like she says, I think sweet things away, but why would you put honey on a stack of pancakes? That's kind of weird. Like her running on the beach. And then she posts a bunch about strawberries and has yet to sell any strawberries. Like none of the brand actually references itself. It actually makes sense. I mean, again, washing blueberries, how is that supposed to be all that good? But like perhaps the greatest sin, you could say, from a branding, business, marketing perspective here for Meghan is how she did the mojitos. Because this is, I feel like, such bad form, especially for people she is like essentially, I would argue, forcing to pay $120 for her products. So she says July 4th of July cocktail hour, muddle raspberries, add ice, gin and tonic, or your spritz of your choosing, top with blueberries, garnish with mint. Cheers with the ones you love. And so we're getting the raspberries and smiling because apparently she's obsessed with raspberries, doesn't care about apricots though. But she wants you to buy apricot spread. Okie dokie. I feel like none of this is too exciting at all. You guys will have to tell me. And I feel like too her pinky ring got an upgrade. Because it's all about, the diamonds with Meghan. Oh, perfectly, So if you don't, in order to make this, you need to, in order to copy Meghan, need to go get straws, need to get those right glasses or whatever. And then you also need a garden, fresh garden you can go out to and grab mints. Okay, so number one, you'll notice no children, nobody but her friend. Nobody but her friend. So her and her friend are getting smashed on 4th of July, apparently, without husbands or children. All right, awesome. But the bigger, you could say, from a business perspective, the bigger sin here is, what about her rosé wine? Why wouldn't she take this opportunity to show off what you can do with her wine? Why wouldn't you do that? Instead, you have a gin and tonic recipe. You're not selling gin. You're not selling tonic. She's not selling anything that she actually put into that drink. And it's goes back to a bit of that laziness thing where she's not actually figuring out interesting things to do with her own products. But also, it's almost in a way somewhat offensive because it's like she's going out of her way to not use any of her stuff. And so if you are somebody who's invested, let's say, a couple $100 in Meghan Markle stuff, and she never uses any of it, she's basically telling you it's too good for her, but she's more than willing for the peasants to buy it to make her money. You have to, if you truly believe in your products, that's why Gwyneth's stuff works. If you truly believe in it, you have to use it. You can't use something else. Meghan could do this further down the line, or she could do this on the day, but she should have been showing a bunch of ways to utilize her rosé. How to use your rosé in the hot sun, how to use your rosé to, cool you down, how to create an interesting rosé situation or whatever. I don't know enough about wines, guys, so I can't really tell you, but I'm sure there is a way to have this kind of content. Yeah, but you also have to show yourself using it. The absurdness of her like avoiding it makes me think she also thinks her stuff is crap, which is why she doesn't use it. Meghan Markle thinks beyond the raspberry spread, because that's the only thing she's ever really featured. She thinks the rest of her stuff is crap. She doesn't want to use it. She doesn't want to buy it. Even when she could have added her flower sprinkles to her little fruit platter, she actually did different flowers. She did not use her own flower sprinkles that she made you pay $15 for. I mean, as a consumer, think about that. Like I want to see somebody, yes, like let's say Lisa Eldridge. She's a makeup artist. I mentioned her before. She, yes, uses a lot of her own products that she created, but she'll use other ones too. But she uses hers a ton. Hers are the ones she relies on the most. And so I like that because, oh, she likes her products, so she uses them. It would be like her creating a whole line of makeup products because that's what she does. She's a professional makeup artist, and then she never uses them. That would tell me she thinks they're crap because she won't put them in her own palette or her own like makeup kit. So she doesn't use them. And so it's like, Meghan, you never see her use her own stuff. And the longer that goes on, the more it kind of comes to the forefront, at least in my mind, is that she doesn't like any of her own products, guys. I don't think Meghan likes a single product she offers, except for maybe the raspberry spread, and that's it. She doesn't use any of it. So you can almost guarantee she doesn't like it. And that's wild to me that you're spending so much on something that you're not going to wear, you don't use, you don't buy. I mean, and showing off a product you're not selling. You should be able to sell something and be willing to show yourself using all of it. Like the only thing that was in that video that we saw that she actually made and is forcing people to buy, or not forcing people, but offering people to buy, is the honey and the spread. A spread that wasn't available last round. And I'm not even sure which honey it was. I don't know if we can tell. So it is the orange blossom honey, I think. But yeah, I think it's the orange blossom. So it's nice, her microscopic bottles she makes you pay 28 bucks for. Although I have found out that Flamingo Estates offers honey that costs like $100. So Meghan's comes off as cheap. But I also think overall, most of her stuff is cheap slop. And that's why she's doesn't really care about it. Doesn't really want to show you how to use it. It's because she doesn't use any of it and it doesn't fit into what she does on a daily basis. Because if I was, let's say, great example, guys. I'm a hot chocolate connoisseur. I love hot chocolate and I love cold chocolate, chilled chocolate. If you can get it, Canopes in London or anywhere else in the UK, very worthwhile to go there. You can get different degrees of hot chocolate. So like 32% of chocolate, you can go darker chocolate and can get it iced or hot, or even some offer milkshakes. So if you're ever interested, go out and get some of that. But like when it comes to hot chocolate, it would be like I'm telling you I'm a hot chocolate connoisseur, but I only drink tea. Well, that would tell you I'm really more into tea. I'm not into hot chocolate, but I'm like selling you hot chocolate, but I'm drinking tea. So it doesn't connect. It doesn't connect at all because you should be able to, again, and this is business 101. If you are somebody who wants to, let's say, sell, let's say you create hair scrunchies or something and you want to sell them, wear them. That's number one, the best way to sell. But number two, it's like it helps you as a person who's running the company to find the flaws when you're using the product yourself. If you're using the hair ties, if you're using the headband, if you're using this or that, you can have a better kind of grasp on your product as the person running it. If you are constantly using it, constantly trying to figure out new ways to kind of manage those things, that is, I think, absolutely key. So if you're going to start a business, you have to almost live your business in order to make it better in many ways as well. So I'm bad, guys. Technically, I should watch my old videos later. I should watch them more. Like I should do different things in order to like make things better. I just work too fast to really have that kind of notion to sit down and like rewatch all the content. I can't imagine rewatching all my content. I mean, number one, it would make me cringe. But number two, it would be very, very time consuming. And I'm like constantly trying to move quickly. But what I do a lot, and I've actually been working on this and processing this week. Like there'll be some changes coming in the fall because I'm constantly trying to figure out, okay, where's the sweet spot with something? What's working, what's not working? And what kind of can we figure out a massage to make something better? And what is not, like I've been trying to do more short like form content. I didn't do one on Friday or Thursday and I should have, but like the video short style, like 1 to 3 minutes. Because that's very popular and I enjoyed those too. So how do I work those into what I do? Like I've been trying to be on TikTok, but some of it's not working. And so I'm like, is it my style? Is it the content? Because it used to go really, really kind of crazy, some of the stuff on TikTok, but now it's not doing that. So it's like, is there too many competitors? If it's not, again, all these things you should think about all the time. And Meghan doesn't think about any of this. I think it's an example of the fact, I mean, Frig, you're very nice. You say, "Because you're not a con, Brittany," and it's right. And also, it's Megan is. I think Megan's a total con. She's not doesn't like any of this stuff. Remember, guys, she started out with strawberry jam, and that's not what she sold. I don't think she cares about any of it. Who like, do we even know if her quote unquote raspberry spread is really what's in there? It could be strawberry jam she made earlier this week that she actually really likes. And why, again, is she teasing a product? And so she's showing off a product. And if you're thinking they're going, man, I want that, but you can't buy it anywhere. What's the point? And Lynn says, well, you also take feedback from your viewers. Yes, I don't think Megan does take any feedback. And it's sort of getting a little crazy. And yeah, Ritz is like, yes, she does reject criticism and keeps making a massive fool of herself. Her attempt to keep attention no matter what. How bad it is sad. It is. It is. So she's not, I don't think, moving. And that's why this business will fail. This business will 150% fail because she doesn't care about any of her own products. And unless she happens upon something that is massive, she'll never be successful, to be quite honest. I don't think for a second she will be successful in this because she obviously doesn't care. And that just seems very surprising to me. You're investing a lot of time, money, like her reputation. If she walks away from as ever, especially after all the blunders leading up to the launch and after the launch, to be quite honest, I think her future business prospects are mostly dead at that point because she's had so much time and she has yet to really find something she loves. And she's talking about hostessing and how she wants to be like, well, she actually hasn't said this, but she wants to focus more on hosting content, and that's not what she's posting. And if you don't want to be that, then it won't go anywhere.